Part 26. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 251. Zhang Ruomu agreed to let Su Yang give it a try, but he did not believe that Su Yang had the ability to cure himself. Because, my own stubborn illness has been with me since I was born. In today's world, no one can cure me, and there is no cure. He just wanted to take a look. If Su Yang's medical attainments were good, it wouldn't be impossible for him to become the master of the palace. After all, a top genius is of great use to the current Medicine King Palace. The Medicine King Palace now only has a lot of treasures of medicinal materials, but there is no amazing talent that can be cultivated. But, after seeing the acupuncture technique performed by Su Yang, he was immediately overjoyed, and his eyes filled with unprecedented joy. It is rumored that the 9-turn rejuvenation needle was created by BNK, the originator of medical science in the spring and autumn period, and is recorded in BNQ's Wei Zheng. Zhang Ruomu murmured incredulously, but BNQ's apocryphal canon has been lost for a long time, so that for thousands of years, the 9-turn rejuvenation needle has not been used. However, several movements of performing this acupuncture method were passed down from mouth to mouth, and were finally recorded in treatises on febrile diseases and miscellaneous diseases by my ancestor Zhang Zhongjing. It's just that those few movements can only be learned in form and have no practical effect at all. As early as more than 1,000 years ago, treatises on febrile diseases and miscellaneous diseases were divided into internal and external volumes. The outer volume is the ordinary version. In order to benefit the world, our ancestors made the outer volume public. As for the inner volume, it records the essence. It is a secret that is not passed down to the Zhang family. Only the descendants of the Zhang family can learn it. Zhang Ruomu looked at Su Yang, who was performing acupuncture, and said to himself, the several movements of the 9-turn rejuvenation needle were recorded by our ancestors in the treatise on febrile diseases and miscellaneous diseases that everyone can watch. After many doctors' speculation and research, we hope to replicate the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. It's a pity that the 9-turn rejuvenation needle created by BNK, the originator of medical science, cannot be easily deduced by later generations. For hundreds of years, countless doctors have made no progress. Zhang Ruomu said excitedly, I have been studying for decades without any clue, but I never expected that I would be lucky enough to see the 9-turn rejuvenation needle today. Zhang Ruomu was so excited, and the doctors in the audience were even more so. They couldn't control their emotions at all. It's really a 9-turn rejuvenation needle. I have read the outer volume of treatise on febrile diseases and miscellaneous diseases. The last page records several movements, which are exactly the same as Susuination's movements at the moment. Back then, several medical seniors were working together to replicate the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. I was lucky enough to help with the effort, but nothing came of it. Is this Su Xiantian really capable of the 9-turn rejuvenation needle, or is he deliberately pretending to deceive everyone? His eyes are full of confidence. It shouldn't be like he's joking. BNK, the originator of medicine? Su Yang paused, slightly confused. Although the 9-turn rejuvenation needle is low-level and can be used without using spiritual energy, it was also learned by him in the Xiantian immortal domain. Why do these people say that this acupuncture method was created by BNK? Is there any connection between BNK and Xiantian immortal realm? In other words, BNK went to the Xiantian immortal realm and left the 9-turn rejuvenation needle? These are unknown. Su Yang was too lazy to think too much and immediately applied the needle quickly, intending to make a quick decision. Puff! 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 In the blink of an eye, Su Yang threw all 9 silver needles in his hand into Zhang Ruomu's body. Hiss! Zhang Ruomu took a breath instantly, his expression changed, and then he didn't care so much anymore and sat cross-legged on the ground, with a faint wave of true energy exuding from his whole body. This man is worthy of respect. He was born with deficiencies and lost vitality and blood, but he changed his destiny against the will of heaven and lived to an advanced age of more than 120 years. Su Yang smiled, then changed his tactics and said at the same time, Zhang Ruomua, for the past 100 years, you have squeezed your body and forced your life to continue. You must have had a premonition that next month, you will die, right? Su, Mr. Su really has superb medical skills. He can even see my current situation. Zhang Ruomua was receiving the treatment of the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. He did not open his eyes, but said with a trembling voice, I dare to ask Mr. Su, are you using the real 9-turn rejuvenation needle? Good. Su Yang smiled softly and said, because of your good attitude before, I will not only cure your stubborn illness, but also clean up your body and buy you 2 years of life. Cough. After the words fell, Su Yang raised his right hand, and 9 silver needles flew out of Zhang Ruomu's body, and then entered Zhang Ruomu's body, but the acupoints they entered were different. If he becomes the master of the palace, he will definitely be able to lead Yaoang Palace to glory. What do you think? Zhang Ruomu asked. The acupuncture technique created by BNK, the originator of medicine in the past, has been lost for thousands of years. Now, it has appeared again? At this moment, Zhang Ruomu suddenly spurted out a mouthful of black blood, and his face turned pale. He learned the long-lost 9-turn rejuvenation needle, which is the most advanced medical skill in the world today. Its effects are obvious to all. He even cured the stubborn diseases that have plagued me throughout my life. It is simply miraculous. Having said this, Zhang Ruomu looked around the audience and said softly, everyone must have seen Mr. Susuanation's medical skills. At this moment, Su Yang waved, and the 9 silver needles were successfully withdrawn and returned to Hua Shimiao. Hua Shimiao, put the silver needles away. This means that what Su Xiantian used was really the 9-turn rejuvenation needle? Well. Yes, Master. Zhang Ruomu said seriously, Master Su is not only superb in medical skills, but also has amazing talent in martial arts. At such a young age, he can defeat the late Earth Sex late stage with one move. He is capable of competing with the top geniuses hidden in the snow of the 3 major forces. Medical science is booming. Over the years, he has been unknown in the Palace of Medicine King and has done nothing. He has even been slightly marginalized and has been allocated fewer and fewer resources. But instead of being nervous, the elders and doctors at the scene became excited. Hua Shimiao put away the silver needle respectfully, his expression showing strong pride, and he felt extremely proud to stand in front of Su Yang. Now, seeing Su Yang taking action and suppressing all the doctors, Hua Shimiao felt particularly comfortable and finally felt proud. For a moment, all the doctors present, including the 9 elders, were silent and hesitant. At this time, Zhang Ruomu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, stood up with the support of 2 medicine boys, and said with gratitude and awe, thank you very much, I, Zhang Ruomu, can't repay you for your great kindness today. You're welcome, this is just a trivial matter to me. 9-turn rejuvenation needle, 9th turn. Don't worry, Mr. Su. I, Zhang Ruomu, keep my word. From today on, I will step down as the master of the Medicine King Palace. At this moment. Just like that, a quarter of an hour passed. Daxing. Zhang Ruomu made a painful sound, but his expression was extremely excited, and his excitement could not be concealed. At this moment, all the doctors at Evian Villa were breathing rapidly. Su Yang smiled softly, and then said, Zhang Ruomu, since I have cured your stubborn illness, then the previous agreement. The palace master's stubborn illness has been eradicated. They are not ordinary people. Each of them is a famous miracle doctor in various provinces and cities. Naturally, it can be seen that after spitting out the black blood, the hall master's breath became more stable, and even his face became rosy after a brief period of paleness. All the doctors at the scene, including the 9 elders, all focused their eyes on Zhang Ruomua, wanting to see if the hall master was really cured. Zhang Ruomua said politely, however, Mr. Su, you should know that if you want to be the master of the palace, you need the votes of all the doctors. I can't be the master alone. Master Su. Receive. Now, hundreds of medical representatives are here. As long as they agree, you can be the 159th Lord of the Medicine King Palace. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 252. Although Su Xiantian was excellent in all aspects, he was still a stranger. It was the first time for almost everyone here to see Su Xiantian. It was difficult for these doctors to accept such a person of unknown origin as the palace master. Seeing this, Su Yang glanced at the hundreds of doctors, and then showed a smile. Everyone, didn't Zhang Ruomu ask me earlier, what can I bring to the Medicine King Palace? My answer just now is indeed a bit illusory. What leads the Medicine King Palace to glory is so illusory that you may not think it is real. Su Yang smiled and said, now, I can answer it again. Swish, swish, swish. In an instant, hundreds of pairs of eyes fell on Su Yang, wondering how Su Yang would respond. If I were the master of the palace, I would. Su Yang showed a smile, and then said boldly, I will pass the 9-turn rejuvenation needle to everyone present. 9-turn rejuvenation needle. Pass it on to everyone. Wow. As soon as these words came out, the scene was silent for a few seconds, and then hundreds of doctors became restless. Master Su. At this time, Zhang Ruomu next to him was stunned. After swallowing his saliva, he asked as if to confirm, is what you said true? Are you sure you will teach the 9-turn rejuvenation needle to everyone present? He. This group of people attaches too much importance to the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. Compared with the methods of the immortal doctor, these acupuncture methods are not even a bit inferior. How can this immortal emperor take it seriously? Su Yang nodded and smiled softly, Zhang Ruomua, I always keep my word. However, I will only teach 2 rounds at the beginning, and the next 7 rounds will only be taught to doctors with outstanding performance. The 9-turn rejuvenation needle can be used as a bonus. The greater your contribution to the Medicine King Palace, the more comprehensive your learning will be. In the end, you can even learn the complete 9-turn rejuvenation needle. Su Yang smiled. Good. Zhang Ruoma was so excited. If this happened, wouldn't he also be able to practice the 9-turn rejuvenation needle? With this thought in his mind, Zhang Ruoma became more and more excited, but this prerequisite was that Su Xiantian must be the master of the palace. So, Zhang Ruoma looked around and urged, everyone, you have heard Mr. Su's words. He decided to take out the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. This is the highest sincerity. Why do you have any hesitation? Yes, Mr. Su, you, the master of the palace, recognize me as a Miao doctor. Master Su, no, palace master, I, the trick doctor, also admit it. No one is more suitable to be the palace master than you. The doctor from Qinbei Mountain has met the palace master. Dr. Daowen, I have met the palace master. I've met the palace master. One after another, hundreds of doctors all opened their mouths and recognized the identity of Hall Master Su Yang. There was only one person who always stood there with a complex expression on his face and remained silent. Yuxuan, do you have any objection? At this time, Zhang Ruomu's eyes fell on Sun Yuxuan. Grandpa Zhang. Sun Yuxuan's expression was complicated, and he gritted his teeth and said, the Medicine King Palace was built by my ancestor Sun Simiao. It has been more than 1,000 years since then. For more than 1,000 years, the master of the Medicine King Palace has been either a descendant of the Zhang family or a descendant of my Sun family. Grandpa Zhang, I understand everything you said, but I just feel a little uncomfortable. In any case, now, Su Yang has achieved his goal and has become the master of the Medicine King Palace. He has a transcendent status in the Medicine King Palace. Hearing this, Zhang Ruomu said with great sincerity, the King of Medicine Palace is not a force of one family. The reason why it was established is to stay together and protect the interests of doctors in the world, so that doctors can better benefit the people. It is a bargaining chip for any family to show off its power. Hua Shimiao, please stay at Evian Villa and teach them the first 2 turns of acupuncture, Su Yang ordered. Hua Shimiao responded in awe, yes, I will live up to everyone's expectations and complete the tasks assigned by you. When many doctors at the scene saw this scene, their impressions of the new palace master greatly improved. Sun Yuxuan, the descendant of Medicine King, has met the palace master. Then, Sun Yuxuan bent down and said respectfully, but you? Yes. Palace master, can I, too, learn? At this time, Zhao Kaihan, who had originally mocked Su Yang, asked cautiously. Ah, this. Su Yang looked at Zhao Kaihan, smiled and said, of course you can, and you have just tried your best to maintain the majesty of the palace master, so you took action against me. Not only is there no fault, but it is meritorious. Not only Sun Yuxuan is like this, but most of the doctors in the Medicine King Palace have this kind of personality. Sun Yuxuan continued, the descendants of the medical sage Zhang Zhongjing were kind to my ancestor Sun Simiao. Our families have been close friends for generations. In response, Su Yang just smiled, then his eyes fell on Zhang Ruomua, and said calmly, Zhang Ruomua, follow me upstairs. I have something I want to discuss with you in detail. Hua Shimiao, remember Elder Zhao, teach him the 3 turns of the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. Zhang Ruomu did not hesitate and immediately agreed respectfully, then followed Su Yang and walked upstairs. Yuxuan, you are wrong. When Zhao Kaihan heard this, he was immediately ashamed and said sincerely, the master of the palace has a broad mind, and I admire him. I will do my best to serve you in the future. Su Yang nodded, then looked at Hua Shimiao next to him, and then said, this is my disciple Hua Shimiao, the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. He has already learned the 4 turns. Su Yang looked around the audience with a calm expression. He knew the temperament of the superior, and said softly, let's end this conference of doctors. The 10th elder is Sun Yuxuan, the descendant of the King of Medicine. This is also what you voted for. Result. Everyone at the scene, including Zhang Ruomua, all bowed their heads and their expressions were full of respect. Perhaps, this is what traditional Chinese medicine refers to as the benevolence of doctors. Yes, Hua Shimiao replied respectfully. Everyone. Su Yang nodded, and suddenly felt that this young man was not bad. He did not hide his discomfort, but openly expressed it. This was much better than those sneaky villains who hid their knives in their smiles. Sun Yuxuan sighed and finally chose to compromise, saying, Susuanation's talent in martial arts is amazing, he also possesses the 9-turn rejuvenation needle, and he has both medical and martial arts skills. No one is more qualified to be the palace master than him, so as the palace master, he is the first medicine king the pulse is recognized. Having said this, Sun Yuxuan's eyes fell on Su Yang, his eyes full of unwillingness. He, Su Xiantian, is not from the Zhang and Sun families. I am unwilling to accept him as the master of the palace. I feel ashamed of my ancestors. After all, this the palace of Medicine King is ordered in the name of my ancestor. Now that I have become the master of the palace, I need to understand clearly whether the Yaoang Palace can speak in front of the place of Zen, and whether it can be the backer of the Su family. Even Sun Yuxuan cast an appreciative look at Su Yang and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Yes, Palace Master. There is nothing wrong with the descendant of the Zhang family being the master of the palace. I, the Sun family, will never complain. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 253. A few minutes later. Evian Villa, on the top floor, in a quiet room. Su Yang sat on the sofa, Su Shanju stood behind him respectfully, and Ruo Mu, the leader of the front hall of Yaowang Palace, stood in front of Su Yang, with his body hunched over and his eyes filled with awe. "Palace Master, I will tell you everything you want to know," Zhang Ruomu said. Su Yang looked at Zhang Ruomu and said straight to the point without any nonsense, "Zhang Ruomu, I want to know, does the Yaowang Palace have the right to speak in front of the place of Zen?" "The place of Zen?" Zhang Ruomu paused, then nodded, and said, "Of course there is. Our Medicine King Palace is the most special existence in the ancient martial arts world. Although the overall strength is not as good as the Transcendent sect, the ancient martial arts world cannot do without Medicine King's Palace. In today's ancient martial arts world, most of the elixirs and healing medicines come from the Medicine King Palace." Having said this, Zhang Ruomu was a little proud and continued, "Not only that, the major sects can cure the minor illnesses of ancient warriors by themselves, but serious injuries or difficult diseases can only be cured by the doctors of our Medicine King Palace. Only by taking action can you increase the probability of survival. Also, some ancient martial arts masters have exhausted their longevity and most of their bodies have been submerged in the loess. If they want to extend their lifespan, they need top doctors to prepare elixirs for them." Zhang Ruomu continued, "So, in the ancient martial arts world, the more powerful the ancient martial arts master is, the more he will protect the Medicine King Palace. Because they cherish their lives and want to live a few more years, they choose to form a good relationship with the Medicine King Palace." Zhang Ruomu finally said, "To put it simply, our Medicine King Palace can barely be regarded as a first-class sect, but its influence exceeds that of any other section. It can be considered interdependent with the three major forces." Su Yang nodded lightly. He could understand what Zhang Ruomu meant. The status of Medicine King Palace should be similar to that of Dan sect in Xiantian Immortal Domain. Although the overall combat power is insufficient, no one dares to provoke them. However, in comparison, the status of Yaoang Palace is even lower. Because the Dan sect of the Xiantian Immortal Domain has some forbidden elixir recipes that can be refined to improve their strength. Every Dan sect disciple should not be underestimated. They will also give the refined elixirs to cultivators from major sects. But those sects need to exchange spiritual stones or heavenly materials and earthly treasures, and no one dares to go beyond that. As for Yaoang Palace, they don't have any means of attack. They only make elixirs and prepare medicines to treat illnesses and save people. It's no wonder that several first-class sects united and dared to put pressure on Yaoang Palace. Now that I have become the master of the palace, this situation must be changed, but not now. Now that Su Yang is at the 8th level of Qi training, he is still unable to fight against those transcendent forces." Zhang Ruomu. At this time, Su Yang looked at Zhang Ruomu and said, "I probably understand what you mean, and I won't hide it from you. I have some grudges with the Fengchan land. Now, I don't want to provoke Fengchan land. Can you, in the name of Medicine King Palace, come forward to resolve it?" If Su Yang was alone, he would never ask Zhang Ruomu to do this. However, Su Yang had relatives and dozens of lives in the Su family, so he didn't want to take risks. "Last time I was lucky, I happened to get the key to the East Palace, and Hua Shimiao happened to have an ancient elixir, otherwise the consequences would be disastrous." Su Yang didn't want to experience this kind of crisis again. "Ha ha." Hearing this, Zhang Ruomu smiled softly and said, "Palace Master, it's a trivial matter. The Lord of Mount Tai, the land of Zen, is a good man. He has always respected the doctors of Yaoang Palace. This matter has been taken care of by me. It's just, Palace Master, why do you have a grudge with the Fengchan land? Zhang Ruomu asked curiously. After hearing this, Su Yang no longer concealed anything, raised his hand to use the disguise technique, and soon returned to his original appearance. Zhang Ruomu, this is my original appearance. Su Yang smiled softly and said, my name is Su Yang, the eldest young master of the Su family in Jiangbei. Su Yang. Zhang Ruomu was stunned for a moment, then seemed to think of something, and said incredulously, the number one dude in Jiangbei, young master Su Yang. Oh. Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and said with a smile, have you heard of my name? Palace Master, don't worry. I will handle this matter for you. I will never let the place of Zen cause trouble for the Su family again. Zhang Ruomu said truthfully, Master of the Hall, to be honest, Su Jingguo, the heroine of the Su family, has some connections with the Medicine King Palace. Zhang Ruomu murmured, because this person is the grandson of the Lord of Mount Tai, and he is one of the three most talented among the grandsons. This. Zhang Ruomu hesitated for a few seconds, and finally gritted his teeth and said, big enough. Zhang Ruomu was a little surprised, then smiled, and said, he is the disciple of Mount Tai Mountain Master, but it doesn't matter. The Mountain Master has nearly 100 disciples, so this grudge is nothing. Duan Sihai also said that he is indeed the grandson of the Lord of Mount Tai. The Palace Master has a broad mind, I admire him. So, I asked people to investigate Su Yang's information and learned that Su Yang is a super playboy who eats, drinks, has fun, and does all kinds of evil. Su Yang nodded, recalled for a moment, and then said, the man's surname is Shi, he seems to be called, Shi Xian, yes, his name is Shi Xian. Big. As he said this, Zhang Ruomu suddenly came to his senses and quickly changed his words, Palace Master, don't get me wrong, I'm not mocking you, Shi Xian. By the way, Palace Master, do you know the name of that young man in the Earth Sect realm? Yes. Su Yang frowned and said, why, does he have a big background? Haha, no need to explain, I understand, Su Yang said generously. Su Yang did not ask anything about the elder sister, and then said, since you can resolve the grudges, this matter should be done sooner rather than later. You can leave for Mount Tai tonight. Yes. As commanded. I don't know the specifics. This is a grudge between the Su family and Fengchan land. For so many years, everyone in the world thought you were a waste, but they didn't know that you are a master of both medicine and martial arts, and you are absolutely terrifying. Amazingly big. When I came to Yaoang Palace this time, the heroine god of war asked me to take care of his younger brother Su Yang. It seems that the masters of Country D want to assassinate him. Zhang Ruomu praised, you are obviously very capable, but you can't bear the ridicule and contempt. My lord, my subordinates admire you more and more. It seems that abdicating the throne today is the most correct thing I have ever done in my life. Don't say any more compliments. Su Yang continued, however, a few days ago, a young man came to the place of Zen. In the late stage of the Earth sect, Duan Sihai, the leader of the Wuying sect, came with him. In the early stage of the Tian sect, they wanted to destroy the Su family. And eventually they were all wiped out by me. Zhang Ruomu's expression suddenly froze when he heard this, and he asked as if to confirm, Palace Master, did you remember correctly? Are you sure it's Shi Xian? Su Yang remembered what Duan Sihai said, then looked at Zhang Ruomu and said calmly, Zhang Ruomu, you know everything. Is the reputation of Yaoang Palace big enough? Duan Sihai. Zhang Ruomu said casually, knowing the name can help me intercede with the master of Mount Tai. Zhang Ruomu responded respectfully, then asked curiously, Palace Master, how did you end up with this grudge? What? Zhang Ruomu first clasped his fists, and then praised, Palace Master, I didn't expect it to be the eldest son of the Su family. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 254. Oh. Seeing that Zhang Ruomu was so convinced, Su Yang couldn't help but ask, Zhang Ruomu, what method have you thought of to make the master of Mount Tai put aside his hatred of killing his grandson? Palace Master. Zhang Ruomu calmed down and said with a mysterious smile, actually, our Yaoang Palace also has a trump card. It just so happens that the master of Mount Tai has a request from Yaoang Palace. Since I promised you, I will definitely solve this matter. You don't have to worry. Good. Su Yang nodded with satisfaction and did not ask for details. He just said, then I'll trouble you. You're welcome, Palace Master. Now you are the future of Medicine King Palace. It is my duty to solve your problems and protect your growth, Zhang Ruomu said seriously. Haha, I love hearing this. Su Yang smiled softly and said, Zhang Ruomu, although I have become the master of the palace, the Yaoang Palace is of a suitable size and you still need to come and check it. Do you have any objections? Zhang Ruomu said respectfully, I will obey the order of the Lord of the Palace. Su Yang nodded, then his eyes fell on Zhang Ruomu, and he smiled and said, also, I see that you have been in the late Tian Zone for a long time. Do you want to become the peak of Tian Zone? The peak, the peak. Zhang Ruomu's eyes instantly showed a trace of desire, and he smiled bitterly, of course I thought, as long as I set foot on the peak of Tian Zone, my lifespan can be extended by at least 10 years, but now, I still have 2 years. I'm afraid I won't be able to make a breakthrough in my lifespan. Uncertain. Hearing this, Su Yang raised the corner of his mouth and said, if you do things for me, I won't let you work in vain. Let's do this. I'll give you 1 hour. As long as you can raise 1,000 energy stones, I will help you advance to the peak of Tian Zone. How about that? Promotion. Energy stone. Zhang Ruomu was shocked, then smiled bitterly and said, Palace Master, are you kidding? Haha, I said I could heal your injury, but you didn't believe it, but I did it. Su Yang smiled softly and said, now I say I can help you advance, but you don't believe it, why not give it a try? What if I have this ability? Good. Zhang Ruomu gritted his teeth and then said, Palace Master, please wait a moment, I will collect energy stones immediately. Well, go ahead. Su Yang waved his hand. With Su Yang's permission, Zhang Ruomu immediately left the room. Owner. At this time, Su Shanju, who had been silent, asked, do you really want to help Zhang Ruomu advance? If he becomes the pinnacle of Tian Zone, I will no longer be his opponent. What will happen if he turns his back and refuses to admit it? Su Shanju expressed his worries. Don't worry, I'm very good at judging people. Zhang Ruomu can't do that kind of thing. Now I'm very important to Yaoang Palace. He will only protect me and will not do anything harmful to me. Su Yang looked towards the 1 o'clock direction, his gaze seemed to penetrate through the layers of walls, and he smiled playfully. Besides, do you really think that the Medicine King Palace is as simple as it appears? In addition to Zhang Ruomu, there is a terrifying person in this Evian villa. Although that person tried his best to hide his aura, I was still able to capture it. Su Yang said lightly, although you can deal with Zhang Ruomu, you will have no power to fight back when you meet that person. He is the strongest I have ever seen. What? When Su Shanju heard this, he was immediately frightened and said, Master, then we just forced Zhang Ruomu to abdicate, wasn't it? He. Su Yang smiled confidently and said, don't be afraid. I told you that I am very important now. The reason why I defeated Zhao Kaihan and used the 9-turn rejuvenation needle just now was to show my worth. Su Yang continued, in their eyes, I am a master of both medicine and martial arts, and I have outstanding talents. I have the value of existence, and my value is extremely high. that person will not take action. If I guess correctly, he has the same idea as Zhang Ruomua, and plans to cultivate a top talent who will protect the Medicine King Palace after he grows to a certain height. Having said this, Su Yang looked into the air and smiled softly. Am I right, old senior? Quiet. There was silence in the room, and no one responded to Su Yang. Haha, I know the answer even if you don't tell me. I have no other purpose. I am indeed in trouble. I am worried that the land of Zen will kill the Su family. With my current ability, I cannot stop it, so I can only seek support and protect the Su family. Su Yang seemed to be talking to himself and said seriously, I promise you here that Yaoang Palace will protect me for a while, and I will protect Yaoang Palace for the rest of my life. After the words fell, Su Yang sat cross-legged, eyes slightly closed, quietly waiting for Zhang Ruomu to come back. As for Su Shanju, he broke out in a cold sweat. He never expected that there would be someone stronger than him in Evian Villa. But he didn't know why, but even though his master was not as powerful as him, he felt a sense of security when he was by his side. It seems that the master is confident of dealing with any huge crisis. It is my honor to follow such a master. Su Shanju thought to himself, and then stood behind Su Yang with a face full of awe, motionless like a wooden stake. About 50 minutes later, Zhang Ruomo came back and knocked on the door gently. Come in. Su Yang opened his eyes and said calmly. Yes. Zhang Ruomo pushed the door open and said respectfully, Palace Master, 1,000 energy stones have been prepared. Well, let someone bring the energy stones in. Su Yang said. As commanded. Zhang Ruomu responded, then waved, and there were several doctors beside him, carrying wooden boxes into the room. Hall Master, there are 10 wooden boxes. Each wooden box contains 100 energy stones. Please take a look at them, Hall Master. Zhang Ruomu whispered. Su Yang nodded lightly, then looked at the doctor next to him and said calmly, you all go down. Yes, Palace Master. Several doctors were extremely respectful, clasped their fists and bowed, and exited the room. Now, there are only 3 people left in the room, Su Yang, Su Shanju, and Zhang Ruomua. Zhang Ruomua, sit down cross-legged. Su Yang said calmly, then just use the inner strength and mental skills. Good. Zhang Ruomua did not dare to hesitate, with a touch of excitement on his expression, and hurriedly did as Su Yang said. Next. Su Yang asked Su Shanju to open the wooden box and pour out all the 1,000 energy stones. Then, Su Yang began to set up the transformation formation, and it was successful within a few minutes. After making preparations, he directly put the energy stone into the formation I, and the transformation formation was activated instantly. In this way, it took about 3 hours for Zhang Ruomu to successfully advance to the peak of Tianzong. Because Zhang Ruomu has a deep foundation and is only 1 step away from the peak, he did not consume many energy stones, only using more than 600. As for the remaining energy stones, Su Yang put them into the storage ring with a wave of his hand. Zhang Ruomu, you have reached the peak of Tianzong. Remember to promise me. I will leave first. If anything happens, you can ask Hua Shimiao to contact me. Su Yang smiled and said, by the way, let me tell you, the old man behind you, I don't like to be observed secretly. Also, there is no upper limit to the way I can help people improve their strength. Although I can only help people reach the peak of Tianzong at present, as my strength increases, I can naturally create the so-called Shenzong, or even ancient warriors above the Shenzong. I also have the ability to make it break through. However, the premise is that you have enough energy stones. Zhang Ruomua, maybe you can collect energy stones in advance. Maybe one day I will become stronger and let you set foot in Shenzong. After leaving some words, Su Yang left the room with Su Shanju without stopping. At the scene, only Zhang Ruomua was left with a horrified face, unable to calm down for a long time. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 255. I have really reached the peak of Tianzong. Also, hundreds of energy stones disappeared as soon as you raised your hand. What kind of weird method is this? Zhang Ruomu felt the power in his body, and his expression was extremely shocked. The abilities Su Yang showed were completely beyond his understanding of the world. Haha, interesting, interesting. At this moment, a figure quietly appeared beside Zhang Ruomu. This person is wearing a white robe, has an old face, and has white hair and beard. His age is unknown, but he must be over 100 years old. Although he was very old and his face showed visible vicissitudes, his body was unusually straight. With his majestic figure and powerful power, he was like a 2-meter-tall old man, making people unable to help but bow their heads in front of him. When Zhang Ruomu saw this person, he immediately knelt down to salute and said respectfully, "I have met the ancestor." Good. This person is Zhang Ruomu's ancestor, the most powerful person in Yaoang Palace, Zhang's Honggaiu. Zhang Ruomu is more than 120 years old. He can be Zhang Ruomu's grandfather, at least 1780 years old. At this moment, Zhang's Honggaiu looked at the direction Su Yang was leaving and smiled softly. This Su Xiantian, or Su Yang, is really interesting. Our Medicine King Palace has found a treasure. Maybe the old sect master of Tianji sect has not. If the calculation is wrong, he is the person who can change the pattern of Medicine King Palace. Old master of Tianji sect. Zhang Ruomu asked doubtfully, "Master Patriarch, have you asked the Tianji sect to calculate the secrets of heaven?" Zhang's Honggaiu nodded, stroking his beard and said, "According to the information we received earlier, Su Xiantian can only kill half a step of the earth section. Although there are not many such young people, if our Medicine King Palace offers generous enough terms, we can still find a few willing serves the Medicine King Palace. However, he can only kill half-step earth sections compared with the geniuses hidden in the 3 major forces. There is a huge difference and it is not worth mentioning at all." Zhang's Honggaiu smiled and said, "If the old sect master of Tianji sect hadn't told me something, how could I have let you mobilize a large number of people to hold a conference of doctors in this small place in Jiangbei, and how could I have ordered you to give up your position as the master of the palace and let me as he, a junior student, the master of the palace?" Yes. The reason why Zhang Ruomu held a conference of doctors in Jiangbei, the reason why he had a good attitude towards Su Xiantian, and the reason why he acquiesced in Su Xiantian becoming the master of the palace were all under the instruction of his ancestor, Zhang's Honggaiu. Zhang Ruomu was very curious before, why the patriarch seemed to predict that Su Xiantian would come today, and concluded that Su Xiantian intended to be the master of the palace. Now Zhang Ruomu understood. It turned out that the patriarch had asked the Tianji sect to deduce the secret of heaven. "Master Patriarch, what did the old sect master tell you?" Zhang Ruomu couldn't help but ask. "I won't tell you for now, but you will understand later. All you need to know is that Su Yang is the savior of my Medicine King Palace. He can lead the Medicine King Palace to unprecedented glory." Zhang Zhongjing said seriously, "So, Ruomu, you must protect him." As he said, the Palace of Medicine King will protect him for a while, and he will protect the Palace of Medicine King for a lifetime. "Yes, Grandmaster." Zhang Ruomu solemnly agreed, and then said with a wry smile, "However, Master Patriarch, Su Yang caused a lot of trouble. He killed the grandson of the Lord of Mount Tai. I heard everything, but Ruomu, you made a mistake." Zhang's Honggaiu smiled and said, "It's a small thing to kill the grandson of the master of Mount Tai. The grievances between the Su family and the land of Fengchan are the big trouble." Zhang Ruomu paused, then seemed to think of something, and said in surprise, "Su, surnamed Su, Grandmaster, could it be that the Su family in Jiangbei was the one who abducted Miss Shi Yuyan?" "Exactly." Zhang Hongao nodded and said seriously, in the 100 sex martial arts competition more than 20 years ago, Shi Yuyan, the daughter of the master of Mount Tai, competed for the crown with a young man named Su, and ended up losing miserably. 100 sects competed in martial arts, and the great geniuses emerged one after another. The three major forces even sent out Xuezhang's top masters. It's a pity that in the end, an outsider won the title. Zhang Hongao showed a meaningful smile and continued, as for the young man surnamed Su, his full name has not been revealed from the beginning to the end. He claimed that he participated in the 100 sex martial arts competition just to tell the ancient martial arts world that the former Su family came back. Since then, the young man named Su has disappeared. No one knows his name. They only know that his surname is Su. Later, Shi Yuyan, the daughter of the master of Mount Tai, also disappeared from the world. All news was lost. Some people speculated that she had a relationship with a young man named Su and eloped with him. No one knows the details, even if the owner of Mount Tai doesn't even know about it. Zhang Hongao smiled and said, I only heard the whole story from the old master of Tianji sect a few days ago. After Shi Yuyan lost to the young man named Su, the two really fell in love, so they changed their names to Zhang Yuyan and followed the young man named Su to Jiangbei incognito. Zhang Hongao showed a smile, yes, that young man named Su is Su Yang's father, Su, god, soldier. What, such a thing could happen? Zhang Ruomo couldn't believe it and couldn't help asking, Master, I know something about Su Shenbing's situation. He once joined the army and served as a commander, but his level did not exceed that of a grandmaster. There are regulations among countries. Ancient warriors are not allowed to participate in national wars. And the champion of the 100 sex martial arts must have unfathomable strength. Now more than 20 years have passed and Su Shenbing is already over 40 years old. His strength should be even more terrifying. Zhang Ruomo continued, as far as I know, the Su family was very miserable during this period. They encountered several crises. Su Shenbing was injured twice and almost died. This cannot be explained. Even if he deliberately hid his clumsiness, and you won't even take action at the critical moment. He. Zhang Hongao stroked his beard and smiled, he was plotted back then. After hundreds of sects joined the military, he joined the army just to find a way out in the killing. Unfortunately, he failed. This. Zhang Ruomu looked confused and asked, Master, what is the origin of the Su family? Why did Su Shenbing have the strength to overwhelm all the geniuses? Is the Su family more terrifying than the three major forces? This. Mentioning the Su family, Zhang Honggao's eyes flashed with fear, and he murmured, the Su family used to be a taboo in the ancient martial arts world. For more than 100 years, no one dared to mention it. I must know those old people from the Su family in Kunlun, has long since turned into a pile of loess, so it's okay not to mention it today. Ruomu, you have to remember, never offend Su Yang, never offend the Su family. In the future, the ancient martial arts world will definitely have the surname Su. This is not what I said, but the secret deduced by the old sect master, Zhang Hongao warned seriously. Yes. Zhang Ruomu had a solemn expression and kept it in mind. I will personally go to the place of Zen. Haha, the old sect master left me a way to resolve it. Zhang Zhongjing smiled, then looked at Zhang Ruomu and murmured, Su Yang, no, we should call him the palace master now. The method of the palace master is really weird. It can convert the energy stone into the true energy that the ancient warrior can absorb at will. The effect is equivalent to an enlightenment. Yes, yes. If the palace master is willing, wouldn't he be able to create Tianzone masters at will? Thinking of this, Zhang Zhongjing ordered, Ruomu, give the order and purchase unlimited energy stones. Even if the price is premium, don't care. Yes. Zhang Ruomu responded respectfully, seeming to have seen the Yeoang Palace moving towards its glorious heyday under the leadership of the palace master. Shi Hehan, the master of Mount Tai, he, old man, is here. Zhang Zhongyao murmured a smile, and then his figure instantly disappeared into the night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 256. It took a long time after Zhang Zhongyao left before Zhang Ruomu reacted and showed a wry smile. He didn't expect that Su Yang's appearance would involve such a big thing. Now that Medicine King Palace has waded through this muddy water, I'm afraid it won't be able to calm down in the future. However, since the Patriarch has invited the old master of the Tianji sect to deduce the secrets, everything will surely develop in a good direction. Thinking of this, Zhang Ruomu breathed a sigh of relief, and then said with a smile, it's not bad for Su Yang to be the master of the palace. At least the Sun family's girl can regain her daughter's body without having to pretend so hard. This has always been her wish. From now on, the burden on her shoulders will not be so big, and she no longer has to think about supporting the entire Medicine King Palace. At the same time, Su Yang and Su Shanju left Evian Villa. But after just a few steps, two people came over. One of them, in a suit and leather shoes, in his 20s, with a handsome face, is Sun Yuxuan, the descendant of the Medicine King. As for the other person, she was a young and beautiful girl, about 20 years old, following Sun Yuxuan lovingly. Master Su, that's not right, Palace Master. Sun Yuxuan stopped, his eyes fell on Su Yang, and he greeted with a smile, is your conversation with the old Palace Master over? Su Yang had a good impression of Sun Yuxuan, so he smiled softly and said, I have restored my original appearance and am no longer Su Xiantian. How did you recognize me? Reporting to the Palace Master, your appearance has indeed changed too much. I can't recognize you, but I can recognize the late Tianzong Master behind you. Sun Yuxuan responded with a smile, the eyes he looked at you were full of respect, and he followed you cautiously. If you are not Su Xiantian, who else could you be? Besides, the appearance can be changed, but the smell of the body will not change. The inheritance of our Sun family is 1,000 pieces of gold. We pay attention to seeing, hearing, asking, and are particularly sensitive to smells, Sun Yuxuan said firmly. I see. Su Yang stepped forward. Since they were all of the same age, he didn't put on any airs. He directly hugged Sun Yuxuan's neck and said with a bold smile, brother, you are very attentive. You have discovered all this. Not bad, not bad. This palace master will cultivate you well in the future. You. Sun Yuxuan was confused by Su Yang's actions. His handsome face turned red. He hurriedly pushed Su Yang away and whispered, just talk, what are you doing holding me? What? Su Yang smiled and said, haha, a young master from a big family like you just behaves like a girl. Isn't it normal for good brothers to hug each other? With that said, Su Yang came over and hugged Sun Yuxuan's shoulders again. Sun Yuxuan's face turned redder, but he didn't push away anymore. When you meet a palace master like me who has no pretensions and is willing to call you a brother, just be content. Su Yang curled his lips, turned to look at the girl next to Sun Yuxuan, and said with a playful smile, brother, this is your girlfriend, tisk tisk, she looks very cute, is she very obedient? Her name is Ping Ping, she is not my girlfriend, Sun Yuxuan explained calmly. Palace Master, you misunderstood, I am just Master Sun's slave. Ping Ping added, I am usually responsible for taking care of young Master Sun's food and daily life, sleeping with young Master Sun and so on. Slave sleeping with me, damn, brother, you still know how to play. Su Yang put his mouth next to Sun Yuxuan's ear and said with a playful smile, Hey, brother, actually I envy a rich young man like you the most. For a top-notch girl like Ping Ping, ordinary people can only look at her face, but you can taste her beauty. I envy you. Su Yang's voice was very low. Palace Master, don't get so close to me. Sun Yuxuan felt Su Yang breathing hot breath into his ear, and the roots of his ears turned slightly red. Then he asked doubtfully, Palace Master, what did you mean by just now? Look at her face, I can understand. Taste her saltiness. I don't know Sister Li. Sun Yuxuan frowned. That is. Su Yang leaned against Sun Yuxuan's ear again, with a playful smile on his face, murmured a few words in a low voice, and then said with a smile, Hey, that's it, good brother, do you understand, is she salty? Su Xiantian. At this moment, Sun Yuxuan's handsome face turned red instantly. Even the palace master stopped shouting and gritted his teeth and said, You are despicable. You can even say such filthy words. Oh, good brother, why are you still angry? We are all adults, about the same age. Wouldn't it be nice to talk about common topics? When Su Yang was talking, he put his hands on both sides of Sun Yuxuan's shoulders and said seriously, Okay, brother, at worst, you can also say so-called dirty words. I promise not to be angry. Shameless, I can't say that. Sun Yuxuan pushed Su Yang away angrily. Okay, brother, I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. You and Ping Ping should go back to bed quickly. A spring night is worth $1,000. Su Yang looked around. Evian Villa was built on the mountain. There was no one around and it was very secluded. So Su Yang smiled playfully and said, It really doesn't work, you can stay here, hee, it's okay, don't worry. Well, the doctors at Yaoang Palace are learning the 9-turn rejuvenation needle. No one will disturb you. Fighting in the wild is exciting just thinking about it. Come on, good brother. After leaving some words, Su Yang took Su Shanju and strode away. Master, why did your attitude towards the descendant of Medicine King suddenly change so drastically? After staying away from the two of them, Su Shanju asked curiously, Previously at Evian Villa, your character was that of a young and frivolous genius, revealing my courage to fly to the top of the world, but now? Now you look like a despicable little scoundrel, right? Su Yang continued Su Shanju's words. Ahem. Su Shanju coughed twice and did not deny it. Apparently Su Yang said what he wanted to say. But Su Yang is the master, he can't admit it, otherwise it would be disrespectful. Of course I do this for a reason. The two of them kept walking. Su Yang smiled softly as he walked, that Sun Yuxuan is actually a girl. He is not the so-called Mr. Sun, but Miss Sunday. I don't like others to hide things from me, so I tease her. That's all. Female, daughter. Su Shanju was very surprised when he heard this and said doubtfully, This is impossible, master, to be honest, I am stronger than you. I didn't even see that the descendant of Medicine King was a girl. How did you figure it out? Haha, if I guess correctly, this Sun Yuxuan should have a treasure on his body. As long as it is turned on, it can change the physical characteristics, make the unique features of women disappear, increase the Adam's apple, and change the tone of voice. Su Yang smiled softly and said, This method is extremely rare. Even I didn't notice it before. I only noticed it after getting closer. It's normal that you didn't sense it. So that's it? Su Shanju suddenly realized it and said with admiration, My master has good eyesight, and my subordinates admire him. Su Shanju, do you know how to flatter someone like this? When I have time, I will introduce you to a person who has a tradition of flattery in his family. You should learn more from him. Su Yang smiled, then disappeared into the night with Su Shanju. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 257. Half an hour later. Evian Villa, in an antique room. A young girl wearing cartoon pajamas stood by the window and said through gritted teeth. Hateful. Damn Sushientien. Despicable, shameless, and obscene. The girl has a high nose, big eyes, and a beautiful face. Her eyes are slightly gray, very beautiful, and a typical ethnic minority appearance. Her eyebrows are high and her eye sockets are somewhat deep, which adds to her unique style. The girl's appearance belongs to the style of the western regions. She is very similar to the famous actress Gilina Zha, and she is so beautiful. She is none other than Sun Yuxuan, the descendant of Medicine King. In fact, Sun Yuxuan's real name is Sun Yuxuan, which has the same sound as Sun Yuxuan but different characters. At this moment, Sun Yuxuan gritted her teeth with hatred when she remembered what happened just now, and cursed Su Yang in anger. Miss, please lower your voice. Su Xiantian is the master of the palace now. You can't scold him like this, Ping Ping next to her said quickly. I know he is the master of the palace, but I just can't help it. This guy is so hateful. Sun Yuxuan said angrily, he doesn't know my gender, so he just hugs me. I don't care about him, but he actually said that kind of thing in my ear, it's obscene. Hearing this, Ping Ping asked curiously, Miss, what exactly did the palace master say to you? Taste my salty taste, what does it mean? Why can't I understand? That's right, that's right. Sun Yuxuan leaned against Ping Ping's ear and whispered a few words, her beautiful face turned red. Ah! Ping Ping's little face also turned red like a ripe apple after she knew what was going on. She gritted her teeth and said, Palace Master, how shameless, actually saying that you can, shameless. It's really shameless. Sun Yuxuan said coldly, Su Xiantian, I will not let you go. I will settle this account with you sooner or later, so that you can know how powerful I am. Miss. Seeing this, Ping Ping persuaded in a low voice, actually, the palace master cannot be entirely blamed for this. He doesn't know your gender, so he talks to you about some topics that boys often talk about. He doesn't mean to be scornful of you. It's better to dissolve enemies than to make knots. What's more, he is now the master of the Medicine King Palace, so it's better not to offend him. That's good, Ping Ping reassured. What is a topic that boys often talk about? Are all boys today so dirty? Sun Yuxuan said disapprovingly, I have pretended to be a boy for so long, how come I have never talked about this topic? Miss, you are the descendant of the King of Medicine. You disguise yourself as a man. The people you come into contact with are either rich or noble. They all respect you. How dare you be frivolous in front of you? Ping Ping smiled. I don't care. Anyway, I'll keep this grudge in mind. I'll definitely embarrass him if I get the chance. Sun Yuxuan still gritted her teeth and looked up at the bright night sky. After a few seconds of pause, her mood recovered and she sneered, haha, although this Su Xiantian is not a very good person, he did me a big favor, it's a small favor. Ping Ping asked in confusion, Miss, you were so angry just now that you wanted to eat the palace master. Why are you saying that the palace master is kind to you now? Ping Ping, you don't know something. Sun Yuxuan smiled, and then said seriously, the Sun family's precious prescription has been passed down from male to female since ancient times. So, on the day I was born, my grandfather saw that my mother still gave birth to a daughter, so he came up with the idea of letting me disguise myself as a boy. Because the inheritance of the Sun family cannot be broken, and someone has to inherit it. Broken throat, broken throat. Sun Yuxuan was depressed and continued, therefore, my grandpa gave me a pendant. As long as I wear it, all the unique characteristics of women will disappear, and I will grow an Adam's apple and have everything a man has. But fortunately, Su Xiantian showed up. Fantasy, this is Sishan, Miss, don't worry, I won't tell anyone else, Ping Ping said seriously. There was a glimmer of hope in Sun Yuxuan's beautiful eyes, and she murmured, "At that time, I can live like a normal girl, wear nice clothes, find a boy I like, and spend the rest of my life happily together." As she spoke, Sun Yuxuan's eyes fell on the table, where there was a purple pendant, the size of a thumb, completely transparent and covered with mysterious lines. Speaking of this, Sun Yuxuan rarely showed a smile. He is a master of medicine and martial arts, possesses the 9 turns rejuvenation needle, and has a master from the late Tianzong as a slave. Maybe there is a big background behind it. He is more suitable to be the master of the palace than me. Grandpa Zhang is also recognized him. Ping Ping. My medical talent is astonishing. At the age of 25, I have mastered all the prescriptions worth 1,000 pieces of gold. I have even mastered the treatise on typhoid and miscellaneous diseases. Okay Ping Ping, you dare to make fun of me, huh? Tonight I will just like Su Xiantian said, taste your saltiness. Tomorrow I will return to Yaoang Valley and ask Grandpa to let me return to my daughter's body. You're such a joke. It was this pendant that allowed her to disguise herself as a man without being discovered by any ancient warriors. Ah, miss, you are acting like a hooligan, stop it, or I will call someone. Fortunately, Sun Yuxuan showed a wry smile, but this is not the life I want. Sun Yuxuan continued, in my world, there are only Qian Jinfang. I must master Qian Jinfang and prevent Qian Jinfang from being lost. I must honor the Sun family and defend the glory left by the Sun family's ancestors. I also want to wear beautiful dresses like other girls. I also want to be like them and wear beautiful dresses under the spotlight. Unfortunately, I can't. Sun Yuxuanyu's face turned red and she gritted her teeth and said, "Can you speak? You're just in love with spring." I'm just fantasizing normally. Sun Yuxuan continued, our Sun family is declining. I have 8 sisters, and there is no son in my generation. Grandpa Zhang knows my gender, and he also told me not to reveal it, saying that I will be the master of the Medicine King Palace in the future. But, I really don't want to be the master of the palace, really don't want to. But there is no way. Among the many doctors in the Medicine King Palace, I am the only one with this qualification. I also need to inherit the glory of the Sun family. I must carry the banner of the Medicine King Palace. I feel tired just thinking about it. If Su Yang hadn't possessed the soul of the immortal emperor and had amazing spiritual awareness, he wouldn't have known that Sun Yuxuan was born as a girl. TCH, Miss. Throughout the ages, for more than 1,000 years, this rule has never changed. Ping Ping, you know, when I was sure that Su Xiantian was going to take away the position of palace master, I was not jealous or envious at all. I was even very happy and relaxed. Shout, no one will come to save you even if you break your throat. Since I can remember, I can only take off the pendant and regain my daughter's body at night, in the dead of night, when I am alone. Sun Yuxuan turned around, looked at Ping Ping next to her, and said with a sincere smile, I want to thank him. It was he who freed me. After today, I won't have to live so hard. When Ping Ping heard this, she curled her lips and said, you are feeling like spring. No wonder, you have lived so long and you have never been in love or even held a boy's hand. It is normal to feel like spring. The position of the Lord of the Medicine King Palace has been the same from ancient times to the present. Only men are qualified to be the Lord of the Palace. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 258. It didn't take long. Su Yang and Su Shanju came to the riverside villa. After that, Su Yang meditated and practiced, while Su Shanju silently guarded him outside, not daring to go any further. Time passed and before I knew it, it was already the next day. Su Yang opened his eyes and ended his cultivation state. That night, he did nothing else but pondered a powerful boxing technique. Nowadays, In terms of body skills, Su Yang is so close that he can teleport multiple times, making him very difficult to guard against. But in terms of attack methods, he still only mastered the water dragon technique, and he lacked close combat techniques. So, Su Yang summarized the memories in his mind, removed the dross, took the essence, and created a brand new boxing technique. In this boxing technique, the fist is covered with spiritual energy. The moment it comes into contact with the enemy, the spiritual energy will explode. At the same time, the fist will affect the mind of the person being attacked, causing him to recall all kinds of troubles and trivial matters in the past. Mental, physical, double attack, the effect is extraordinary. Su Shanju. At this moment, Su Yang showed a smile on his lips, then walked out of bed, smiled softly and said, "Go out and have a few moves with me." "Yes, master." Su Shanju paused, and then responded respectfully. Immediately afterwards, the two came to the courtyard and stood face to face. "Master, my fists and feet have no eyes. If I hurt you later, I hope you won't blame me," Su Shanju said cautiously. "Haha, okay." Su Yang smiled, then raised his fist and took the lead in attacking. Su Shanju should not be careless. At the same time, he did not dare to use all his strength and tried to suppress his own strength. He knew very well that he was just giving tricks to his master, and he had to be careful. Boom! Soon, Su Yang's fist touched Su Shanju's palm, and spiritual energy and true energy were raging on the scene. "Master, your power is really amazing. I am afraid that even in the early stage of Tianzong, you will not be your opponent. However, my subordinate has already entered the later stage of Tianzong, so I can." As Su Shanju was speaking, his eyes suddenly froze, and his voice suddenly stopped. At the same time, he fell into the memories of the past, and his face showed pain, sadness, panic, fear, various emotions, one by one. When he reacted, his body had been blown away by Su Yang. At the same time, Su Shanju came back to his senses, hurriedly stabilized his body, stood there with a shocked face, and couldn't help but ask, "Master, Master, what happened just now? Why do my subordinates recall all kinds of things? Could this unbearable experience be because of your punch?" "Good." Su Yang nodded and smiled softly. "The essence of my boxing technique is not the energy explosion from the outside, but the attack on the soul." "What, there is such a weird method?" After receiving the definite answer, Su Shanju was shocked and then asked, "Master, what is the name of your boxing technique?" "What's your name?" Su Yang thought for a moment, then smiled and said, "I just created this. It doesn't have a name yet. Let's pick one now. This punch can currently make people recall the past. If it can be perfected later, it can make people recall past and present lives. It will be called the 100-Life Reincarnation Fist. The 100 Generations of Reincarnation Fist, what a name." Su Shanju praised him, but he was more in awe. It's amazing that the boxing technique created by his master at random is so terrifying. My current strength is definitely no match for you. If you were on guard just now, you probably wouldn't have been attacked. It seems I have to improve my strength as soon as possible." Su Yang smiled and asked, "By the way, is there any news from Hua Shimiao?" Last night, Su Yang did not forget about business and had already given Hua Shimiao the task of finding the 1,000-year-old turtle shell. Reporting to the master, Hua Shimiao sent a message in the early morning, saying that there is a 1,000-year-old black turtle shell at the headquarters of Yaoang Palace. Su Shanju said, "However, if you want to get something from the headquarters, you need an elder's token. Now that the elders of Yaoang Palace are at Evian Villa, I'm afraid it will take a few days before you can get the 1,000-year black turtle shell. With the 1,000-year black turtle shell, we can refine the bone elixir. Dad and Grandpa's injuries cannot be delayed for too long." When Su Yang heard this, his brows furrowed slightly, slightly displeased. At this moment, a thin figure ran into the riverside villa crying. This person is none other than young Master Wang and Wang Fuegui, whom he has not seen for a few days. Young Master Su, I'm pregnant, bah, I'm lovelorn. Wang Fuegui ran over, hugged Su Yang directly, cried with snot and tears, and wiped the snot on Su Yang's clothes. Fuck you, stay away from me. Su Yang pushed Wang Fuegui away in disgust, and then couldn't help but ask, young Master Wang, why are you crying? Why did you fall out of love after you were so good? Could it be that after you became stronger, you committed domestic violence and beat Lu Shushan? Did you run away? Fart. How could I be that kind of person? Wang Fuegui quickly denied it, and then said with a sad face, young Master Su, you don't know. After you helped me become stronger, I went to find Lu Shushan, and I found out that she had returned to Kyoto. Su Yang heard this and smiled softly, isn't this just right? You don't like her anyway, you even hate her. Now that she's gone, isn't it just what you want? Yes. Wang Fuegui said with a complicated expression, I thought so at the beginning. Even because she left, I opened a bottle of champagne and went to the club to find 7 or 8 beautiful technicians. I planned to be cool and unrestrained. I don't know why, but I always feel empty in my heart. I can't swallow such delicious champagne, and I can't swallow such a superb technician. I just feel that something is missing, as if I have lost something very important. In my mind I always think of that violent bitch Lu Shushan unconsciously. Having said this, Wang Fuegui looked at Su Yang and said as if asking for confirmation, young Master Su, do you think I am lovesick? Should I fall in love with her? There's nothing good about her. During the past few days in Jiangbei, she beat me every once in a while and forced me to kneel on the durian. Why the hell do I want to see her so much? Wang Fuegui was puzzled. Ha ha. Su Yang smiled softly and said, young Master Wang, in my opinion, you have a masochistic tendency. If no one hits you, you will be itchy all over. Stop talking nonsense, my dad beats me a few times. Wang Fuegui's face darkened, and then he said seriously, young Master Su, don't be joking. I sent that violent girl several text messages and called her, but she didn't reply or answer it. Do you think I am lost her? When it comes to Lu Shushan, Wang Fuegui is worried about gains and losses. He is completely different from the lively, cheerful, and somewhat mean person he used to be. Su Yang was no longer joking, but said, since you want to see Lu Shushan so much, go to Kyoto to find her. Why are you coming here to me? Wang Fuegui paused, then seemed to remember something, and said, I almost forgot, I came to you for business. My dad asked me to ask what happened to the Su family these days, and whether they encountered anything. Trouble, why haven't Uncle Su and Grandpa Su shown up? What the hell, Uncle, you didn't mention this, but you started talking to me about Lu Shushan as soon as you came up. Hey, didn't I forget? Whoa, you are such a shameless person. Su Yang looked grim and almost couldn't help but give Wang Fuegui a kick. But this can only mean that he has a good relationship with Wang Fuegui. After all, they are good brothers who share will and woe. The Su family father and son did not tell the Wang family what happened to the Su family, presumably because they did not want the Wang family to be involved. So, Su Yang said, there is nothing wrong with the Su family. My father and grandfather only suffered minor injuries. I'm just telling you, if the Su family has you, young Master Su, there will be no trouble. Wang Fuegui breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this, and then flattered him, young Master Su, in my opinion, you are light, you are electricity, you are the only myth in my heart. Close your anus. Stop flattering. Su Yang interrupted, and then said with a smile, young Master Wang, you should think about how to find Lu Shushan first. By the way, why did Lu Shushan suddenly return to Kyoto? I've already found out, damn, Lu Shushan's family has arranged a marriage for him. Wang Fugui suddenly became serious and gritted his teeth and said, originally, that violent girl didn't intend to go back, but she was forcibly kidnapped back by her family members. Young Master Su, I have made a decision. I will go to Kyoto later. I want to bring the violent girl back to Jiangbei. Do you want to go with me? Wang Fugui did not hide anything, he expressed his inner feelings to Xiao Jiju and begged, young Master Su, I'm afraid I can't defeat those people, so just accompany me there. You are so powerful, you can definitely help me bring the violent girl back. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 259. Facing Wang Fugui's request, Su Yang thought about it seriously and felt that it was not suitable for him to leave Jiangbei at the moment. First, Dad and Grandpa lost the ability to walk and were seriously injured. The Su family cannot live without him. Secondly, it will take time for the Medicine King Palace to communicate with the Fengchan land. During this period, I don't know if any masters will come to Jiangbei. After much thought, Su Yang felt that he must stay in Jiangbei. But he will definitely help Wang Fugui. This foolish young man, Wang, finally met a girl he had feelings for, his childhood sweetheart Lu Shushan, and no matter what, he had to successfully bring the pair together. It happened that the Millennium Black Turtle shell was at the Yeoangdian headquarters in Kyoto, so Su Yang planned to ask Su Shanju to go there and bring back the Millennium Black Turtle shell, and at the same time help young Master Wang deal with Lu Shushan's affairs. With the strength of Su Shanju Tianzong in the later period and his foundation comparable to that of a first-rate sect, he should be able to crush the Lu family in Kyoto. Young Master Wang, I still have some difficult matters to deal with in Jiangbei, so I can't go to Kyoto with you. Su Yang looked at Wang Fugui and smiled softly, however, I can send a master to protect you. Su Shanju, in the next few days, you should follow young Master Wang. He is my best friend. You must protect him. I will not allow him to get hurt at all, otherwise I will blame you, Su Yang warned. As you command. Su Shanju said respectfully, Master, don't worry, I will treat young Master Wang just like I treat you. Su Yang nodded, then smiled, and said, young Master Wang, when will you leave? I will have someone book a flight for you. Of course, the sooner the better. If it's too late, the violent girl will become someone else's wife. Wang Fugui looked very anxious, then looked at Su Shanju and asked in a low voice, damn it, Mr. Su, this old man is already in his 70s or 80 years old, and it seems that a gust of wind can blow him down. Can he do it? Don't go to Liu's house in Kyoto. Before I even started showing off, I was beaten out. Haha, just relax, his name is Su Shanju, and he is stronger than me. Su Yang laughed. Real or fake, Wang Fugui couldn't help but ask, how does it compare with Grandpa Su and Grandpa Li? My grandfather? Grandpa Li. Su Yang said mercilessly, even if the two of them join forces and multiply their strength by 100, they will not be worth mentioning in front of Su Shanju. Worry, awesome. Wang Fugui curled his lips and said, young Master Su, the more I listen to him, the more he sounds like bragging. Seeing him like this, I don't think he can be my opponent. When it comes to his own strength, Wang Fugui is a little proud. After Su Yang helped him advance to the first level of Qi training, he almost beat his father Wang Baoquan to the ground when he returned home. You know, Dad is a master of energy, but in front of him, he is weak and vulnerable. If he didn't take care of his face and be merciful, what would Dad be? It can be said that the current Wang Fugui is a bit inflated. Haha, Su Shanju, it seems that Mr. Wang doesn't believe you. You scare him at this time, Su Yang smiled. Yes. When Su Shanju heard this, he immediately released an insignificant wave of true energy, covering Wang Fuegui. Certainly. This is insignificant, for the masters of Tianzong. Under this ray of true energy, Wang Fuegui's face changed with fright, and his body was trembling. My darn thing! Wang Fuegui knelt down directly, hugged Su Shanju's thigh tightly, and said excitedly, Su Shanju, no, Uncle Su, you are my biological grandfather. When we get to Kyoto, you have to protect my little brother. When Su Yang heard this, he immediately became happy. Young Master Wang, you call him grandpa, but you call yourself younger brother. Your generation is really messed up. Young Master Su, what do you know? You call me Uncle Su because I respect you, and you call yourself younger brother because you want to build a relationship with Uncle Su. Wang Fuegui was a little embarrassed, so he forced himself to explain, then flattered him and said, Uncle Su, I just realized that you are really handsome. According to your conditions, if you go to People's Square at night and encounter those little old ladies dancing in the square, you are not allowed to kill them randomly. Wang Fuegui licked his face and said with a smile. These words made Su Shanju very useful. A smile appeared on his old face, as if he thought of the scene where he was popular with the old lady in the square. Uncle Su, this is all a small scene. I dare say that a few decades ago, there must have been too many girls pursuing you, right? Wang Fuegui continued to flatter you. It's not that exaggerated. Su Shanju smiled softly, stroked his beard and said, in our time, we were not as open as we are now, and both men and women were more reserved. However, you are right. There are indeed many ladies from the world who have written love letters to me and expressed their love to me. Su Shanju smiled proudly, and Wang Fuegui's words seemed to speak to his heart. Uncle Su, Bullfrog, to be honest, you are the most handsome man I have ever seen. Even at such an old age, you are still charming. Wang Fuegui sighed and said, it would be great if I could be half as charming as you when I reach your age. Su Shanju glanced at Wang Fuegui approvingly, as if he was praising Wang Fuegui for his discernment, and then comforted him, young Master Wang, don't belittle yourself. In fact, you are quite handsome. If I weren't as handsome as you, with your jade trees facing the wind, your gracefulness and your pear blossoms weighing down the begonias, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm short and thin. No, 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 Mr. Wang, you are just too handsome. The two of them were going back and forth, chatting animatedly. Beside, Su Yang's face darkened, and he gritted his teeth and said, shut up for me, are you done? Su Shanju reacted immediately, felt slightly embarrassed, coughed twice and stood aside. Young Master Su, what are you doing? I'm just telling the truth. I, Uncle Su, am handsome, Wang Fuegui said seriously. Su Yang was too lazy to pay attention to him, and then warned, Su Shanju, let's go. By the way, you first go to Evian Villa and ask Zhang Ruomu for a token, and then go to Kyoto. Su Yang arranged, remember, get the Millennium Black Turtle shell first, that thing is very important. Understood, Su Shanju responded respectfully. Su Yang smiled and said, this young Master Wang is the guy I mentioned to you. He has a tradition of flattery. You should learn more from him on the way. Next time you flatter him, don't use words like powerful or powerful. Yes, Su Shanju agreed seriously. Go ahead. Su Yang urged, go early and come back early. My father and grandfather are still waiting for the 1,000-year black turtle shell to heal their injuries. As you command. Su Shanju nodded respectfully, and then followed Wang Fuegui and left the riverside villa together. Originally, given Wang Fuegui's character, he would definitely have to say a few flirty words before parting. But now, he was thinking about Lu Shushan and was no longer in the mood. After watching the two people leave, Su Yang returned to the room, dialed Guoyi's phone number, and told Guoyi that if anything happened to the Su family, he must be contacted in time. Immediately afterwards, Su Yang prepared to meditate and wait for Su Shangju to bring back the 1,000-year-old tortoise shell. But at this moment, Li Feixuan's phone call suddenly came in. Su Yang, do you have time now? I've encountered a situation here. Can you come and help me? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 260. Situation. Su Yang paused and then asked hurriedly, Wife, what's wrong? Don't be anxious. Tell me slowly. What's going on? This. On the other side of the phone, Li Feixuan looked very helpless and said with a wry smile, let's wait until you come over. I'm with Kikai and Zhou Yutong. You may not know Zhou Yutong. She is Kikai's best friend. Come here quickly, there is a little guy here who keeps pestering Tong Tong, insisting that Tong Tong be her little wife. Tong Tong. Su Yang frowned slightly, and there was some impression in his mind. Wasn't that the girl who told groundless lies? Damn. Although I don't have a good relationship with Li Kikai is also my sister-in-law. Now that my sister-in-law's best friend is in trouble, Su Yang will definitely not stand by and watch, so he gritted his teeth and said, Honey, send me your location on WeChat, and I will go over and teach him a lesson. Lesson? Li Feixuan smiled bitterly, and then urged, well, that's okay, come here quickly. After saying that, Li Feixuan hung up the phone and sent Su Yang a location. Anyway, I have a relationship with that Tong Tong. Besides, my wife has spoken, so please help if you can. With this in his mind, Su Yang opened the navigation and headed towards the destination. With his current state, it is effortless to use the so far away, and his body can withstand it even if he uses it hundreds or thousands of times in a row. Soon, Su Yang came to the location and saw Li Feixuan from a distance. Li Kikai and Zhou Yutong were standing next to Li Feixuan. It is worth mentioning that at this moment, a little boy about 4 years old was holding Zhou Yutong's skirt tightly. The little boy is dressed in a green outfit, with handsome features, long braids, and a green forehead smear on his head. He is dressed in a very retro style. A playful smile appeared on his small face, and he clenched Zhou Yutong's skirt tightly with his small hands, staring straight at Zhou Yutong as if he were looking at beautiful things, and his saliva was about to flow out. Su Yang, you're here. Seeing Su Yang appear, Li Feixuan came over to say hello. Su Yang nodded, then asked curiously, Honey, where is the guy who bullied Kikai's best friend? Today I have to beat him to pieces. Can't fight. Li Feixuan shook her head. Honey, do you question my strength? Su Yang smiled softly and said, don't worry, your husband and I are very powerful. No, when I say I can't fight, I mean, I can't do it. Li Feixuan smoothed her hair in front of her forehead, her eyes fell on the little boy in ancient costume, and she said with a wry smile, here, this little guy is holding on to Tong Tong's clothes and won't let go. No matter what you say, it's useless. Forehead. Su Yang paused and said in surprise, Honey, you said you want Tong Tong to be your mistress, is this the little one? Li Feixuan nodded lightly and said helplessly, today I went shopping with Kikai, Tong Tong, and the others, intending to buy clothes, but who knew I bumped into him. This little brat can't be driven away, and there's no point in scaring him. He won't take soft or hard advice, so he has to pester Tong Tong and let Tong Tong be his little wife. Li Feixuan spread her hands and said, no, I have no choice but to call you and ask for your help. Haha. It's quite interesting that such a thing can happen, little one. Su Yang smiled, and then said, but, wife, if he is just a little bit like that, you can just get rid of him forcefully. As for calling me, why don't you just give me a call? No, I don't know why he is so strong. Tong Tong's skirt was almost torn by him, but he just wouldn't let go. Li Feichuan looked at Su Yang and smiled softly. Besides, don't I want to ask you out and go shopping together? So big things have happened in the Su family in recent days. Uncle Su and Grandpa Su, I want you to relax, change your mood, and not be so sad. Li Feichuan revealed her true purpose. Wife. Su Yang was very moved, hugged Li Feichuan's waist, and smiled softly. You are so kind. Thank you for your thoughtfulness. However, this is just a small problem and will not affect my mood. As for the injuries of my father and grandfather, I don't care anymore because I am confident that they will recover soon. Wife, don't worry. Concubine Li Xian smiled. Seeing that Su Yang was in good condition, she felt relieved, and the little bird clung to Su Yang's chest. Su Yang also hugged Li Feichuan tightly. The two were inseparable and very loving. Well, sister, brother-in-law. At this time, Li Kekai looked at Su Yang and Li Feichuan, and said with a dark face, can you stop showing off your affection first, and then show it off after getting rid of Kekai's trouble? Su Yang paused, his eyes fell on Li Kekai, and couldn't help but ask, Li Kekai, what did you call me just now? Sister, brother-in-law. Li Kekai was a little embarrassed and said coquettishly. After all, she used to only call Su Yang by his first name, and her attitude was very bad. She even abused Su Yang more than once. Now she suddenly changed her name to brother-in-law, which was very unnatural. Damn it, the sun comes out in the west. Su Yang was a little stunned and asked doubtfully, Li Kekai, why are you so crazy? Why are you so polite to me all of a sudden? Have you forgotten about Cowherd? Have you forgotten about Lily? You don't even remember the things I teased you about. Su Yang. Li Kekai immediately gritted her teeth and said, shut up. If you dare to talk about the past again, I'll blow your head off. Huh, this is right, this is you. Su Yang showed a smile. It feels much better to hear you call me Su Yang. You. Li Kekai curled her lips and gritted her teeth and said, you are such a bitch. You really don't like others yelling at you, right? Kekai, why are you talking to your brother-in-law? Have you forgotten what I told you? At this time, concubine Li said seriously. Only then did Li Kekai remember. She looked at Su Yang with a rare respect in her eyes, and whispered, brother-in-law, I was wrong. I was ignorant before. Thank you for being generous and not arguing with me. Su Yang had a question mark on his face and asked in confusion, wife, what did you say to Kekai? Why does she seem to have changed? Nothing, I just told her your other identity. Li Feichuan smoothed her hair in front of her forehead and continued, now Kekai knows that you are a very powerful martial arts master, countless times more powerful than her. Then she thought about a lot of things, such as you enduring the humiliation and swallowing the anger. Now in her mind, your image is extremely tall. Li Feichuan added, also, when Kekai realized it, it wasn't that you couldn't beat her before, but you deliberately didn't reveal your strength and deliberately let her go. But she didn't know it before and often beat you violently. Now think about it, she feels ridiculous and feels a little guilty towards you.